What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Analytically Correct. I'm here with Stretch and Rob at Public House, connected to Shamrock Liquors. As always, thank you guys for watching. Sorry for the late start. We just got done videotaping the sidelines of another podcast. Strictly for field perspective, we were just trying to get a little advanced scouting on their sidelines and all that kind of stuff.
We can delete the footage.
We can delete the footage. The damage has been done.
It has been done.
We're joking about, of course, one of the main stories. I don't know if it was one of the main stories it should be, I feel like, but I think because of when it happened and the timing of it, and then obviously Jay Glazer released the footage on Sunday, like during one of their shows or whatever. So, I mean, good for him, but we all found it hilarious, I think. But at the end of the day, it looks a lot like, unless you're a Patriots fan, I think everybody says the same thing. It looks a lot like the first time they got caught with Spygate. And the NFL is now investigating it more after the video came out. I don't know how much the investigation to me is not going to result in anything less than the punishments they got the first time. So if people aren't talking about it, I think they will after the punishment comes out, or we'll see, because the original punishments were $250,000 for the team, which is nothing. $500,000 for Bill Belichick, which sounds like a lot, but we don't really. He's the only one of the only coaches.
Yeah.
We don't know how much he makes. However, they haven't made that public. I'm not sure how that works, but the first round pick, I think, is another thing. Not that, I mean, they drafted N'Keal Harry, so they're not really getting the most of their first round picks anyways. But what were your thoughts on the whole videotaping scandal, all that kind of stuff? Everybody kind of just made fun of it because it was the Bengals.
I mean, they're looking for whatever edge they can find is starting to look like. I mean, clearly the defense is what's going to be the focal point, but the defense can only do so much when you have Kansas City and Baltimore now in the playoffs coming in. I'm sure that's not the only team they've done this with. I think the whole documentary of scouting is just a cover up for what they're actually doing. I don't think if you disagree with it, then get past your fandom. Like, let's just be honest about it right now. I mean, what they're recording had nothing to do with field perspective. They're recording hand signals, they're recording signs, they're recording, like, just the stuff they're doing. It's just like they're going out of their way. And the guy who did it was wearing like a Tom Brady jersey doing it. So it's like, you're not even doing it.
Is that true? I didn't know about that part.
He was wearing a jersy. I'm not sure if it was Tom, but it was a Patriots jersey. The whole thing's just like, the whole thing's a little ridiculous. And honestly, I don't know what to expect really from it. It's almost like, are they going to go as far as suspending Belichick for the playoffs?
That would definitely be interesting.
Because that's when you really, I feel like if you're going to hit the Patriots, that's how you're going to hit them.
One of the other parts about it now is they almost have to put out a documentary about an advanced scout. Otherwise, so now we're going to have this documentary that comes out almost just as a thing they have to put out now. It's just, like I said earlier, who's going to watch that? A documentary on it? I love football, but I don't want to know about an advanced scout.
I mean, I would
Patriots.
honestly watch it, but the whole point is, like, I know it's BS. Like, they're not actually doing that. It's a cover-up. Like, nobody in their right mind really thinks, oh, they've been doing it for 2 years. Okay, for 2 years. How come it's like the first we've been hearing about it? And two, why does it take you 2 years of advanced scouting to put it out? Like, why couldn't you do it after last year? If it's an HBO series, HBO be pushing the hell out of it, and they'd be talking about it a lot more. I mean, they push Hard Knocks with the Browns, for Christ's sake. Don't you think you'd want to watch scouting with the Patriots more?
And how are the Bengals the only team to figure this out? Like, all the guy does, it looks like in the video, is come up behind him, look at what he, like, if you have somebody that's from the Patriots in your box or whatever, aren't you interested in what they're filming? Like, especially given the history. You would think.
I think it's just finally just a caught on thing. I mean, there was someone recording the Cowboys practice, and there was the same thing with the Jets practice as well. So this isn't the first time this year this has been a conversation. That's another thing to me. I'm like, recording practices and doing this and that, I don't know. It's just like the whole thing is, listen, at the end of the day, they still are one of the best teams. I do think they're trying to find whatever they're trying to find whatever advantages they possibly can, because they know they need home field to win in this playoff. Going to Baltimore is going to be a lot tougher. I don't think they're going to lose to Buffalo this week. I think it'll be a tough game. But for them to lose the division, they have to lose to Buffalo and Miami. They're not losing both those games.
Well, they beat Buffalo the first time, right? So
yes.
I think the way that the division would work is if Buffalo wins this week, then they're tied. There's all these weird tiebreakers, but yeah, then
New England has to lose both.
New England plays the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And if they need to win, they're going to win.
Yeah.
Like if they don't need to win, they're going to sit everybody.
I get it. Everyone's like, oh, the Dolphins won last year. I'm like, yeah, but that's not.
They won on a miracle play at the.
Yes.
And then
we're not going to bank on that happening.
And that's
again.
when they had Gronkowski, because everybody can remember, obviously, the the miracle player or whatever when
Oh
some reason they outsmarted themselves by putting a guy on defense who doesn't belong on
They
defense.
took off McCourty, like one of their best defenders too. Was the best part about that. It's like they didn't just like take off with whoever. They took off, a named guy. I don't know. I didn't like it. I just think the whole thing is just it's a story that's going to keep adding on. But until I see a punishment, I think it's just kind of like it's just a story. You know what I mean? Like, let's see what happens after the punishment. I think that's when the story really starts kicking in, is when we see how severe this punishment is.
Other than I think that's pretty much we've exhausted that whole topic until we see what the punishments are.
Yeah.
Nothing left to say. They cheated, whatever. The Patriots are going to Patriot. The other two main takeaways I had from this week, it was almost seemed like one of those like filler weeks. It's just like getting near the end of the season. The teams that we thought were going to win for the most part won. Like any team that you thought was going to win that lost, it didn't necessarily mean that the other team was better or whatever. Like I think Tennessee, if they play Houston 10 times, they'll probably each win 5, and it just happened that the Texans won. Like I'm not going to trust the Texans in the playoffs. I also am not going to trust the Titans in the playoffs. I think it's still.
I like the Titans a little bit more in the playoffs because they can run the ball, so there's a control of tempo there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if Tannehill does keep playing the way he's doing, then obviously Henry's been running the ball phenomenally. The defense in Tennessee is very good. I just think there's more of an opportunity for Tennessee than Houston, even though I think Watson and Hopkins are the better players. They have the better team. I just think the formula.
It's so weird because like I agree that they have more talent than the Titans. Like DeAndre Hopkins is just a better A.J. Brown. I mean, the running game is one thing where you can definitely say, we talked about it 2 weeks ago with Derrick Henry and his numbers. He's statistically been the best running back in football for the last 18 games. I think I always just think of him as just a big running back, but he always seems to be running like 20 yards downfield.
No, that's the thing. Like he's honestly just shaped out to be this amazing back too. Is the best part about seeing it, because coming out he was splitting time with Deion Lewis and then splitting time to DeMarco Murray. It's like he was there, and then he finally got a sole role, and here he is. He's taking off. Then he looks great right now.
The other story from the week were the two crazy finishes. What was it, the San Francisco game?
Yes.
That ended. I didn't have money on either one of these games. Thank God for
fantasy
me.
with Julio Jones. Julio's on all my teams. Love it.
It was the Falcons and Niners, and then what was the other crazy finish that they scored like two touchdowns in 5 seconds or something like that?
That was that game.
One. And then there was like a lateral. There was a lateral one too.
It was
right?
Chicago and Green Bay, and Chicago just dropped it. Like Chicago almost won that game. That was a scary one for them. I thought Chicago was going to somehow pull it off.
But other than that, I didn't think that there was too many surprising results, anything crazy that happened. We saw Baltimore won against the Jets. Everybody was expecting that.
Yeah.
It's just like how long until Lamar Jackson sits down. It is crazy. It's seeming like a college team, and not just because they run a college style of offense, like tailored around Lamar Jackson.
It's because of how many points they're scoring and winning by.
But how often do you see guys and quarterbacks in the NFL, we saw it with Drew Brees this week too, but that just get to sit for the whole fourth quarter? And when you're talking about a guy who's like the engine of that team.
It's happened like 3 times this year for them, too.
Sometimes it happens not at all. Like Tom Brady hasn't sat any fourth quarters this year, I don't think, and they're 10-3. But that's going to matter, I think, when you're talking about a guy who needs to take as few hits as possible and needs to be protected from injury, and every hit he takes is going to be adding up for the playoffs. But if he's able to sit for fourth quarters, that's going to be an issue. He's almost, if you sit the fourth quarter, obviously simple math, for 3 games, fourth quarter, you almost played one less game than everybody else.
No, I mean, when you look at this team, I think it's been 3 or 4 times now that they've done that. And they've just gone out, and honestly, when you watch Baltimore's the best team in football right now. I do think Kansas City is trailing behind it slightly. I know people like New Orleans a lot right now. I'm not counting out New England because New England's defense is still top tier. They still don't, because New England's offense was not a strong point for them last year.
Right.
Even with Gronk and with with Edelman, like that wasn't like a strong point for them. Their defense really carried them through at the end, and that's like I think that's something that's going to happen again this year. But I still think when you watch Baltimore, all in all, there's everyone on that team. One, there's a lot of healthy players. There's very few injuries and very few key injuries on that team. And 2, it's just like everyone on that team is like they play their role completely. Marquise Brown, great rookie. Mark Andrews, his second year coming in, looks great. Hayden Hurst, another great tight end looking for them. You got Mark Ingram and Gus Edwards, but just right out. Mark Ingram's running the ball better than I've ever seen him run the football.
Yeah, he was a guy who I think got kind of like overshadowed when he was with the Saints. And it's not that you didn't know that he was a good running back, but when you have Alvin Kamara, which kind of fell into their laps. Like I don't remember where they drafted him, but I don't even think it was first or second round. It might have been second, but once they find out how good Kamara is, they have Ingram there to just kind of have like almost like this take up some of the carries.
He got kind of beat up by that suspension too, that 4-game suspension he came coming into the new year because it kind of like set him back a little bit on that team with reps and everything.
But he's the kind of guy like Derrick Henry where if you give him the carries, he just gets stronger as the game goes on.
Yeah,
and nobody in the NFL, I mean, other than the Chiefs this week in that snow game, which you got to love a snow game. I mean, that was awesome. I did kind of think Denver had a better chance to win because of the snow, and it just looks like it doesn't matter for the Chiefs. Like, their offense is just going to keep going no matter what.
Everyone's talking about their defense. Their defense really hasn't played much of anyone lately, but I do want to see if their defense can at least continue to hold their own, but you're going to see more and more. I mean, I would love to see a Kansas City and a Baltimore matchup at some point this playoff. Like, that's a matchup I really want to see.
It's kind of like last year when everybody wanted it, and we finally got Rams and
Saints?
Chiefs. No, Rams and Chiefs.
Rams, Chiefs,
in that like 80-point game or 90-point game or whatever it was.
I would love to, because honestly, like, when I watch the Chiefs, I'm not a Chiefs fan, but I do love watching. I absolutely love watching Patrick Mahomes. Watching him play football is just a phenomenal thing. You just watch the ball. Everything he does is different compared to every quarterback. Just the way the ball comes out of his hand, the way he can make these throws, just his athleticism while in these throws. Even on his back foot, and the throw is still better than just about 95% of all quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, just the way that he can just stand there and like flick the ball and it goes 50 yards.
And he's getting healthier. Like, that's something that needs to be noted. Like, that team is getting healthier, they're getting better, and they're starting to peak at the right time, I feel like. They're coming into this playoff peaking versus Baltimore has already kind of peaked already, I feel like. Baltimore's already been doing what they're doing. They're doing a phenomenal job at it, obviously. But I do want to see that matchup. That's the matchup of all in this playoffs I want to see is that one.
And we're going to get one of those in all likelihood because it's
realistically,
And the three teams that are above the other teams obviously are Kansas City, Baltimore, and until somebody beats them in the playoffs, you still have to put the Patriots there.
Oh yeah.
For all the jokes and the stuff that we talk about with the cheating and the struggles on offense, which they did win this week. They played the Bengals, so I don't think, like I said, it's kind of like a filler week. We didn't really learn anything. I mean, the Patriots are expected to beat the Bengals, video footage or not. But Tom Brady did only throw for like 130 yards.
And that had to do with scoring quickly and scoring a lot quickly.
You can look at it both ways. Yeah. You can say, okay, if you want to worry about it, that he only put up that much. But you can also say they scored like 34 points and he only threw for 130 yards.
The thing is with Tom, people aren't killing Tom for his age, but here's my point, too, to a lot of people. Tom's offense is pretty horrendous up and down. Like, I mean, when when your best wide receiver's 5'9", he's a slot guy, like, N'Keal Harry's just getting back in, and he's still a rookie, and they have all this expectation on him. Like, Arizona State, he wasn't amazing.
Right.
He wasn't Higgins from Clemson this year.
I don't want to act like some kind of like draft expert or whatever, but when I saw N'Keal Harry, I'm like, I watched a lot of college football, and I didn't really know about him too much, And
I hate to say it, he's not like a CD Lamb or a Marquise Brown.
Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, he's not one of these guys coming out. So, there was a lot of expectation on him. They just don't have a lot of talent as a whole. They brought in Watson as a tight end. That's not a lot. The offensive line, it's all around, but it's pretty average to say the least. Their running backs, Michelle, is not running the football nearly as well. In fact, I think James White's the guy that should just stick with consistently because James White looks like, hey, he's got more of an explosive step to him to where there's more of a trying to get those 6-yard runs. I feel like a better shot with James White than is with him.
The issue too with Sony Michel, and we've talked about it before, is that when he's in the game, they're not going to throw it to him.
Yeah.
For some reason, he can't catch. Like a normal human function is catching the ball, and not to do it at like an NFL level, but he can't catch when he's in.
Yeah.
And he's not that much better of a runner than James White to negate the fact that they know he's going to be running it every time.
Yeah, it's like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. When Chubb's in, he's going to run, but Chubb's leading the league in rushing right now.
He's not a zero in the passing game either, though, by any means.
He can still catch a little bit on the passing yards out there, but it's like when you watch this team, I don't think Tom, and I know we're getting off a little subject here, but I don't think Tom's going to be in New England next year. I could see Bill still being there, but I just don't see Tom going just because the way they did not. You could tell he was annoyed that he doesn't have Antonio Brown.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a smart. You think he blames them for that? Like, at the end of the day, it's Antonio Brown's fault that they don't have Antonio Brown as much as it is the Patriots. Like, I think it's kind of stupid. Like, if they, I think this whole taping scandal kind of ends the Antonio Brown thing. You can't do that, and you could have done one or the other. And I think if you add Antonio Brown back, I don't see why you can't do it. And I'm not agreeing with anything that he may have done or not, but we don't know. He hasn't been proven guilty of anything other than being an idiot on social media, and there's plenty of players like that. I mean, we can get into the Janoris Jenkins thing. Called somebody a retard, called a fan a retard, and then pretty much said the defense of like it's when I grew up and that's how I talk. It's like
he's just
well,
kind of pulling an Eli Apple and
then-
doing whatever he can to get out of New York.
then
I mean,
he got-
Jamar Chase wanted out of New York.
he got released and it was
Yeah.
hilarious. He tweeted after that, best news ever.
Yeah. I mean, he could tell he just wanted out of New York.
He should have
and-
tweeted like thanks retards or something like that.
Yeah, and now he's on the Saints. He goes from the Giants to the Saints.
To the playoffs, yeah. Like
he's
who had a-
perfectly happy right now.
Who had a better move than that? Was it what's his name? Who scored 4 touchdowns? Kenyon Drake.
Oh my God,
Went
Kenyon
from the
Drake,
Dolphins
man.
to the Texans, or could have been
Cardinals.
Oh yeah, Cardinals. That's not great a move. Jalen Ramsey though, going from the Jags to the Rams, that's a pretty good one.
It is, but it's not because both teams. I mean, the Rams aren't going to the playoffs this year.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about too, because they kind of, with all their moves, they went all in on this year.
And they're in a lot of trouble because they don't have a lot of draft picks.
They're paying like 4 guys like 70%
Brandon
of
Cooks
the
needs a lot of
salary
money
or something like that.
I mean, there's guys that are getting paid right now on that team that you're starting to look at. Like Gurley's an issue. Goff looks like an issue. You know, what's his name? Brandon Cooks has had concussions all year. You know how healthy he really is. You just paid Aaron Donald. He's been solid, but like there's not a lot of room to start paying guys, and you don't have a lot of draft picks to start recapping. So let's see the offensive guru, as they call him. I disagree, but.
Well, I guess that's Kyle Shanahan now, getting into the 49ers, which you were talking earlier about teams peaking too early. And I'm not saying this because they lost the last game, but the defense hasn't looked as good. Now you have
They got some injuries on that team.
Yeah, they do, but I mean everybody has injuries.
Yeah,
at this
no,
point.
I'm not saying that as excuse, but they are more beat up than other teams are, and I do think that they're too young. Like it's a year early, kind of say. You know what I mean? Like I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo.
Like 10-3 though.
They are, and I get that, but like even like you can go back and see teams that have done well, but you're like, yeah, they may be doing well, but this is not their year. Like the Bills. The Bills are 10-3.
The Bills,
this is not their year.
The Bills, I agree with you on a next year team. I think there's no reason to think that the 49ers couldn't win the Super Bowl this year.
I just thought the 49ers in the playoffs with someone like the Packers, or they're in the playoffs with the Saints. I don't see Jimmy Garoppolo coming out against those 2 quarterbacks and winning. You know, and I understand that's what it comes down to when it comes, because yes, the defense is going to play well, but then when you're in the playoffs, if you don't have a successful quarterback, it's really hard to go out there and win. Very few teams win Super Bowls with quarterbacks, you know? Like, if you really want to get...
The Broncos did it with Peyton Manning.
They did, but the thing about Peyton Manning is he's smart not to turn the ball over. Just don't turn the ball over.
That's kind of how Tom Brady, I think, is too. And
at this point.
I think Jimmy Garoppolo, I think he just tries to do too much.
And that's what it's going to... I mean, he's got to learn to lose before he can win.
And for him, all you have to really do is play in Kyle Shanahan's system.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to do too much.
And they're going to run the ball a bunch, but if Breda and Mostert, if all these guys still keep getting hurt consistently, I mean, that team is they run the ball a lot. They use that's how they move their offense, through running the ball. I will say George Kittle, I mean, in my opinion, outside of Kelsey, is the best tight end. And then you have, Emmanuel Sanders has been a very good ad for them. But then, like I said, I think the team is there, but not completely there. There's still some youth that's going to develop as the years go on with that team to make them a solidified team.
Yeah.
I kind of look at them as a Bills group, to where, like I said, the Bills, yeah, they're a year early. I think the Bills can be good down the road. But, I think the 49ers will be better 3 years down the road than the Bills will be, personally. I think this could be a year where the Bills win 10, but then, like the Jaguars, when they won 12, all of a sudden they're winning 5.
Right.
I could see that being a Bills.
You do have these weird teams. It'll depend on Josh Allen.
Yeah.
But you do have these teams where it's like they pop up for a year and then they kind of go back. Like, look at the Jags. And they had talent to win the Super Bowl, except for they had Blake Bortles.
Yeah, if they would have gotten Kirk Cousins,
and then
they
the
had a
talent
shot.
on defense went down a little bit. Like the timing, it's so crazy for the NFL. The timing has to match up exactly.
Perfectly,
Unless you're like the Patriots, or if you have like somebody like Russell Wilson, where you can continue on to new eras. Like he had the Legion of Boom era, and now you have Russell Wilson. You're going to be at least 8-8, or if not better, every year.
And when you watch the Patriots, it's almost like they're going through. The Patriots, they went through kind of a rebuild phase when they went those 10 years without making a Super Bowl. Oh, not winning a Super Bowl. And everyone says a rebuild. Yeah, but it's not a rebuild like a full rebuild. It's like a refine, you know? And when you watch them against this year and their draft picks, people pointing out they're not drafting Pro Bowlers. They're not bringing out a lot of talent through their draft. Their draft has kind of hit lower and lower each year.
A lot of their guys, I don't know the exact stat offhand, but they think they have like the lowest percentage of guys drafted like from 5 years ago still on their team.
Yeah,
and when that happens, well, you're going to be wasting more of your salary cap on these free agents and stuff like that. And they've usually worked out with the whole free agency thing, but eventually it's going to catch up to you.
They are a different team if Antonio Brown doesn't have a Twitter.
It's almost come full circle, because when Brady's career first started, he was more of a game manager and they had the defense. You go through all the era, all the way up until when they had Randy Moss, and it was like the best offensive team of all time.
Yeah.
And now you're kind of back to that other stage. So it's not like he hasn't done this before or he doesn't know how to do it.
And
He's done it 13 years ago. It's the same thing.
I think the thing is now is he doesn't have that kind of, veteran, he doesn't have that veteranship around him in his skills of players. Like, Deion Branch, Troy Vincent, guys like that, Corey Dillon,
who is it? It's just Edelman and pretty much
that's
it.
really it. Yeah, you don't have a lot of guys that know how to win truly on that factor. So when you're trying to work with these young guys, Corey and Nikhil, like you don't really see Jacoby, and Nikhil, you don't really see a lot of these guys immediately getting it, and they're not going to get it immediately.
And you can see him get frustrated too.
Yeah.
Like if he goes 3 and out like 3 times in a row or something. And he'll get sacked and he'll just get up, and you could tell like by his body language, and he'll be pissed.
And I will give you guys a wild call, and I've talked to Stretch about this, and I think what Tom Brady's not going to be in New England next year. I do think he's going to use his voice, he's going to check around, and I think you're going to need to find a team that's desperate, a team that's truly desperate to sign Tom, because you get a year, maybe 2 of Tom. He's 42.
Yeah.
I don't care if he wants to play to 45. It's just like that means you still get through. I see Cleveland really going all in for him next year.
What do you think is going to be like the market for it though? Because I've heard people, and it's just throwing none of us know, so it's just throwing crazy things out. But what if what if LA, like the Chargers, did something like 3 years, like $70 million or something like that?
And I see it as a possibility. I see Cleveland trading Baker. Getting assets. It's Baker's had one of the worst years.
You can't keep Freddie Kitchens and then get rid of Baker.
Yeah, they're not going to keep Freddie Kitchens. They may say it, but as long as another coach comes in.
I don't think both will go though. Is what I'm saying. Like if you get rid of Kitchens, you're going to want to see the new coach see what he can do with Baker Mayfield. Like it's going to be the same thing. Watch with what we saw with Sean McVay. Anybody who's ever been friends with Kyle Shanahan is going to be up for a head coaching job next year. You're going to get some of these guys who have like built the defenses, like whoever the Bills D coordinator is. There's actually D coordinators this year, because last year it was just like who are the top 8 offensive coordinators? They're our head coaches now. And I think how many offensive coordinators can you go through before you get to a defensive coordinator that deserves to be?
Let's be honest though, if the Jets were to, if Aaron Rodgers hits the market, the Jets get rid of Darnold for Aaron Rodgers.
Well, yeah.
But there's no difference between Tom and Baker. You would immediately get rid of Baker to bring in Tom.
At first, I misheard you. I thought you said Donald, like Aaron Donald. No, the Rams would get rid of Aaron Donald for Aaron Rodgers.
Like Sam, like if you just like when Peyton Manning was when Peyton Manning went to the Broncos. I'm not a Tebow fan. Tebow did win a playoff game. He did beat the Steelers.
But I know nobody ever lets me forget that Tebow won a playoff game.
But that's the thing. It's like this is a quarterback that doesn't hit the market on a normal basis. When you look at Cleveland, what they have one of the best rushing attacks in the league. They have 2 very good wide receivers. They have a playmaking tight end that Baker can't throw to for whatever reason. And they have a solid defense.
Yeah, how is Njoku not like a top 5 tight end?
Baker doesn't have the velocity to get the ball out on these out routes, and he also very struggles on these intermediate routes. Watching Baker has been nothing but funny for me this year.
So what do you make of first it was a story last week, and then it came out that it wasn't, and then it came out that it was again. And I'm talking about the Browns.
Come get me.
So first it was
telling the Cardinals that.
How bad? Although at this point I would like to see Odell Beckham with Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray's good.
I like Kyler Murray a lot more.
He's gonna get destroyed sooner or later. He reminds me a lot of RG3, not in the way that he takes hits and runs, but he has the same body type as RG3.
Yeah, outside of the height,
as small as he is, yeah.
Mm. But no, I don't know. When you hear Jarvis Landry telling the Cardinals come get me, you're like, the Cardinals? They
have a worse record than you.
That's how bad you want to get out of Cleveland? You want to go to the Cardinals?
That's what I'm talking about with the coach.
I get it with San Francisco, come get me. I get that. That makes sense.
He's just telling everybody. It's like the Patriots thing. If they're doing it to them, they're doing it to everybody.
I don't even know who they play this week.
The Cardinals played the Browns. Are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about the Browns. Who they playing this week? Because they're going to be who are they going to be trying to recruit to next?
He's going to wear a shirt that says "Come get me."
Come get me, like it's insane.
It's not "Come at me, bro." It's "Come get me, bro."
Well, it's just like when you hear another player say that while they're on the field, it's like Dorsey's been very quiet about everything. Dorsey hasn't told anyone they're sticking around.
If you're doing a pie chart of whose fault this all is, Dorsey is like a -1%. Like, it is not his. He brought all the talent here. He can't make them play well.
Yeah, but was it really talent? Like when they said Baker Mayfield.
Everybody was saying that on paper this team should win.
I thought it was Dorsey's fault back when we go to the draft before Baker when they drafted Myles Garrett first. They should have drafted Deshaun Watson first. I understand Mahomes went in that draft, but I don't think Mahomes has the career he does in Cleveland like he would in Kansas City, obviously.
But it's tough to say because, like, what if Chase Young gets drafted first this year, which is like the Myles Garrett type, and then a couple of years later we're like, well, they definitely should have drafted Tua or Joe Burrow.
Well, who are we talking about? The Bengals?
I mean,
that's who's going to have the first pick. I'm just saying for the Browns, they needed a franchise quarterback, and maybe I'm a little biased, but when you see a quarterback, the resume Deshaun Watson has coming out of college, I didn't see the discrepancy. How could you really argue that being the first pick? But you look at Baker the next year, I think that's my first pick. That's where I'm coming at on that one.
So you're saying they knew they needed a quarterback,
there was still
but they
Bradley
didn't get
Chubb.
one anyways,
Yeah, Bradley Chubb still came in the next draft, and he was a highly rated defensive
But nobody
end.
was going crazy and saying that it was crazy when Baker went number one. I mean,
I know, but it's like, you know, that's what kind of gets me. You know what I mean? It's like when you look at resumes, you have 2 job applications. You know, one guy starts 1 year, one guy plays in 3 years. Guy goes to national champion twice. It just, that's what gets me. The Heisman for Baker, I guess, helped him, but
it's the Lamar, and it also is when the college season ends.
Yeah.
Most of these guys who are on good teams are ending on such a high note.
Yeah,
like
you're
in
right.
Playoff games and stuff like that.
I guess
but the thing is, like with Lamar Jackson, it's just like these NFL teams have to stop looking at it so in such like a myopic way where it's like only this type of quarterback is. Like, just pick the guys like Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson. Pick guys who won in college. Like, they won for a reason.
And that's when I get Baker won, but like, okay, let's look at it. He didn't win. Like, when he went up against better teams outside, like, yeah, he beat Ohio State that year. That was his big win. The year before, he got his ass kicked by Ohio State. But like, when you look at that playoff with Georgia, was he in it? Yeah, but they didn't win.
I'm still not like totally off of Baker Mayfield yet, though. Like, so he had one good season his rookie season. Now he's had one regression of a season this year. So I'm not just going to say this bad season outweighs the good he did in the first season.
I just think it's good.
Give him a better head coach, give him a better offensive coordinator. If they win a couple more games, like it's got to suck to lose in the NFL and go out there every week and be the Browns and lose. But as a Lions fan, we're 3-10, and you don't hear people on the Lions. You don't hear Kenny Golladay going out there like, "Hey, come get me."
Yeah, no, it's a culture thing too.
Which is a terrible thing because the only thing you can say about John Dorsey is maybe what happened is you brought in just too much like on paper talent, and
you have too many guys that never accomplished anything to act like they did accomplish something.
I always thought this part was overrated, which is like locker room chemistry in a certain sense, where it's like you can't just bring in all the talented guys and then hopefully they all get along. Or
it is not basketball where you know, that chemistry kicks in right away. Football, you need like that chemistry has to build in.
Like if you played football in high school, I think you did, right? A lot of the offensive guys sometimes you're not even talking to the defensive guys in the locker room. You just talk to your position group, and that's pretty much it.
I will say with the good that we talk about Baker's first year, I'm very big on splits, and this is where I'm going to get in next.
The home road thing.
And not even the home road, but the team over 500 split. Like, kind of like what I'm going to get into Amari Cooper here in a second. Like, when you look at these guys, like, if you're not performing against good teams, but you're demolishing bad teams, that is a misconstrued stat. Like, yeah, he looked very good against the Jets.
Speaking of the NBA, it's like the Zach LaVine thing. It's like somebody's got to score 28.
Yes, like D'Angelo Russell. Someone's going to average 22 for the Warriors this year.
I think D'Angelo Russell's actually good, but Zach LaVine, I think, is one of those like good stats, bad teams kind of guy.
Yeah, I can see that, definitely. Like, when I watched Amari this year, like, I'm really anti-Amari getting this giant deal that he wants, the $18 million a year, because you don't play well against good corners. Like, Jalen Ramsey held you to one catch. Gilmore held you to no catches.
Those are like great corners, though. Like, and I mean, I understand what you're saying. If you're getting that deal, you're paying for them to play well in those games.
Yeah.
Because what kind of corners are you going to see in the playoffs?
Yes.
Stephon Gilmore.
Who we see in the playoffs this year? Like, if you go in the playoffs this year, you're going to see Richard Sherman and the 49ers. See Marcus Lattimore, who held down Amari earlier this year. You see Stephon Gilmore. You're going to see Xavier Rhodes, who's having an off year, but Xavier Rhodes he's having a better second half of the season. Tre'Davious White against the Bills, but he didn't look good against Tre'Davious White or Mark Cooper. I mean, there are guys that, like, and I understand, but, like, Michael Thomas looks good against them. You know, Julio looks good against them.
Best receiver. But if you're paying best receiver in the league money, you want that kind of production.
That's my whole point. And, like, do you really, like, and the whole thing is, like, it comes down to this now. Like, the problem isn't, like, that I think is really going to go on there is you need a perimeter, you need a good playmaking wide receiver, and every offense kind of shows you need that now.
You know, the thing with Amari is his body type is not like Michael Thomas and Julio Jones.
No.
Like, he doesn't have, what is he, 6'1"?
Yeah, he's like 6'1", and he's just big and physical.
At some point, like, if you're going to pay, I just want my receivers to be 6'5".
Mm-hmm.
Call me crazy. I want them to be able to reach up and just not, like, and just catch a ball over anybody. You know, if Randy Moss was 6 feet, he'd still be a great receiver, but would he be Randy Moss at that point?
Yeah. And when I watch him play right now, it's just the one thing that I'm always nitpicking, And luckily we're playing Philly, so he should go off this game because who the hell is
They
Philly
have
even have?
terrible. The only thing worse than their corners are their receivers.
And you know that's one thing, and that's a game this week that everyone's gonna be talking about in the NFL. It's the NFC East and who's gonna win it. I mean, I'm gonna be biased, but as a fan, I look at Dallas. I'm like, we should win this game. There's no
Right,
reason why
but there's
we
a
really
lot of
shouldn't win
games you
this.
should have won this year.
Yeah, but Philly's not like there's a lot of games we should have won, but they were against like better teams outside of like the Jets. Like there's not a lot of teams that were bad that we should have won and we lost.
Do you already
know
know
what I
the
mean?
Do you already know the spread for that game?
I think it's 2.5 Dallas.
Okay, yeah. So you already saw it, but yeah, Dallas to me is not deserving of being on the road favored by. It's 3 now. They're on the road favored by 3. And Philadelphia, like a lot of talk has gone on this week with statistics for home and road teams against the spread. Obviously, this game the spread doesn't matter. It's just who's going to win. But I think home field advantage this year more than any. I don't know if it's just like an aberration this year, but it statistically has not been as important as other
it's
years.
not.
Whether it's because the travel, and don't listen to NBA players about travel. They'll tell you it's like the worst job in the world. But whether whether travel is less of an issue, whether they found a formula for how long to get there in time or whatever. But it used to be like if you were at home. But a long-winded point is
Thursday night home teams
Philadelphia
would win consistently.
Philadelphia is still a home field advantage. I think it's still a crowd who can get crazy for a game. And I didn't look at the time for that game, but if it's a night game, that always makes it.
Dallas has won the last 4 against Philly. They've won the last 2 in Philly. I just don't look at this Philly team as a team that should beat Dallas personally. I just look at them and say they're beat up. They're beat up on the offense line. They're beat up on the receiver. They have no skill players. Like, there's no reason why Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup shouldn't be able to immediately create a threat.
It's the same
Zeke
thing.
Elliott should be able to run the ball.
It's the same thing as the Browns though. Like on paper, this team should not be 7-7 right now.
I don't agree with that whatsoever. I looked at that Browns team and there's no offensive line, young defense still. I just thought that Browns team from the start was very, very overrated.
Well, I mean more in the Cowboys sense. The Cowboys should not be 7-7.
No.
The only thing you can say about the Cowboys is what? Their coach and their tight end. I'll be the first one to admit, and I do want to still go back, I reminded myself just now, and go back and look at like takes before the season, even back when Brett was doing the podcast, and I said that they're going to get a tight ends coach pretty much for $4 million a season. And I was wrong. Jason Witten's been like good this year.
He's been good in like pivotal situations.
Which is what you want your tight end to be on that team. You don't want Jason Witten to be going Travis Kelce across the middle for 25 yards on first down.
Do that.
But if you need like a red zone catch, or if you need like a 3rd and 4 or something, from what I've seen, it seems like he's been pretty good this season.
What I was hoping he'd be better at would be keeping the locker room like more positive going forward. Like the only thing that's keeping us positive is the fact that Philly can't win games against Miami.
Yes.
And Philly, that's the only thing keeping it positive right now.
Is Philly being negative?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like if Philly was doing well, there was nothing to be positive. Like when you watch Philly against the Giants and the Redskins these past 2 games, they struggled a lot. I mean, that Redskins game was a lot closer than the final score was.
As also like we can get into Urban Meyer in the fucking booth with Dan Snyder too.
Oh God,
as an objective fan talking about Philadelphia and Dallas, I don't really care other than I want to see Dallas in the playoffs because I think that's a better team to see in the playoffs. I don't want to watch Philadelphia with their no corners and their no wide receivers and Carson Wentz, whatever the hell. I think you can directly tie what's going on with him to the receiver situation and stuff like that, but at some point, like I don't want to watch.
Aguilar's confidence is absolutely shook too.
Well, I mean, if you have enough drops, it's kind of on you.
It's like it looks like he doesn't want to ball down the field whatsoever. Because there are balls he won't even run out.
At some point, it just gets into your head.
You can just see the way he's playing. Everyone kept talking about Deshaun Jackson's injury. I'm like, you know what? Here's my thing with Deshaun Jackson. He's been hurt all year, and I get if that's your main guy you're relying on all year. You're already kind of dooming yourself. The guy's 34.
That's not a number 1 receiver anymore.
Yeah, it's not Deshaun 10 years ago. I understand that, when he's returning punts and all
Alshon Jeffrey's been hurt too, to be fair. I mean, but also he's always hurt.
Yes.
So
he's a very Devontae Parker-ish. When he's playing, he's nice, but his big contract.
Speaking of wide receivers, if that kind of fits in at all, the whole Josh Gordon thing, do we even need to say anything at this point? Are we all just going to say the same thing?
Can you just be done already? Can I stop getting the same news every year? I feel like it's every year. Last year, got kicked off the Patriots for it.
It feels like the 3rd time in a row that I've said, like, I don't even know what to say. Like,
no, it's
if you're going to have that much, and I always get mad when some fans are like, well, if you gave me that much money, I would do this, or I'm like, well, then just be better at your job.
Yeah.
But in this case, when you messed up for the same thing over and over and over and over again, I understand if it's like opioids or like I don't even know whatever drug you want to compare it to, but you're addicted to weed? Like, what is this?
I just think the whole thing, everyone's like, well, and my biggest annoyance is like, am I for
They
these
didn't
players?
say what it was. But.
Yeah, I'm all for the players being able to smoke, but here's the problem. They negotiated the CBA with the players' union. I am so sick and tired of every time rules happen with these players, nobody wants to blame the players' union. They always want to go right after the NFL. Well, if the players' union wanted so bad, they were in a lockout. Just say we're not playing.
Right.
That's it, and hold your ground like they will do this year.
That's harder
They're
said
gonna
than
do that
done
this year.
because players' careers are only like an average of 3 years, so the owners always know the players are never going to hold out.
Oh yeah, because they know they can't. Because
But-
I mean, not trying to be rude about it, but a lot of these guys don't have a degree and also have shit on their record too. So it's like good luck.
So Stretch said that he has an addiction problem. Do you know any other person in your life that's ever been addicted to weed? Or you're just kidding? Okay, he's kidding.
No. What's his
Right.
face? I was just thinking about.
Snoop Dogg?
No, man. I was just thinking of who's the Full House actor?
I don't know.
The main guy. You know what I'm talking about?
John Stamos?
No, not Stamos.
Bob Saget?
Saget. You ever suck dick for weed? What is
Entourage?
it? No, it's not Entourage. It's what's the shit movie? It's with Dave Chappelle. And yes, Half Baked.
Oh,
There we
yeah.
go. Half Baked. That's what I always think when I see that. It's like I'm like, no. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, you just want to smoke. That's fine. I get it. But what'd you expect? The guy went to Seattle.
Just don't. You did call it.
Yeah, they went to Seattle.
Everyone kind of called it on that one, but
It's not like you didn't go. Like if you would have gone to like Dallas or something where you're not
Cheech and
smoking
Chong.
weed out there, like yeah.
But it's like, my man, millions of dollars. You could take that millions and just like invest in weed after you're done.
But he was selling weed at Baylor too. Like he was legit running a whole like weed.
Probably
sting
getting
in
high
Baylor.
on his own supply too, if I had to guess.
I would have
That's
been
probably where it
shocked,
started.
man. They supposedly he's making like 10,000 a week or something selling weed. I'm like, bro, like what? He's selling weed too.
I know, right?
Like what?
What college kids have $10,000?
Baylor. I mean, it is a private school.
He went to
Right.
Cranbrook. That's a private school.
I
But
don't know. The whole thing is just like Josh Gordon. Here's my thing with Gordon. His career's been like, he's been an average wide receiver to be nice for the past like 5 years.
like, put it this way: I'm an alcoholic, but if you gave me even $1 million, I could not drink for an entire year. I don't want. If anyone wants to put that bet down, I'll check it out.
Gladly take it.
I would get like 7 days in and be like, how much? I just had to look at it every like 7 days.
Yeah, you'd have to like completely feel
I'd
it.
have to sit in my house or something like that. I'd just get myself put in jail.
Oh man. No, I mean, I think coming up though, I mean, I do want to see our takes. I'm already killing myself on my Atlanta take. Atlanta's defense was hurt by week 4 this year instead of week 2 last year. So.
Yeah. So we were talking about doing like the Traveling Drunks, like a group podcast about the year in review. We're trying to figure out like the scheduling with that whole thing going on. But at the very least, what's next Tuesday? Next Tuesday is nothing, right? We'll probably all be here next Tuesday.
Yes.
All right. So sometime over the course of this week, I'll go back and look at it and I'll write some stuff down. If you guys want to check it out too. I'll be more than happy to write my own down, but I'm definitely gonna write down everybody else's too. But that should be fun. Anything else for this week other than like the Lions keeping the most Lions thing ever? We go 3-10 and be like, no, the coach is fine.
I will transition. Say I have one of my favorite rappers made a line. It's J. Cole. He says, "Cole under pressure. What's that make?
Diamonds."
And it has to do with Garrett Cole and the New York Yankees.
Yeah. If we want to get in,
absolutely beautiful.
if you want to switch
It is
into baseball.
beautiful. I'm not a fan of 9-year contracts, to be honest with you. I didn't like the length.
It's the Yankees. It's not your money. You don't care.
I know it's not. But at the end of the day, I was kind of annoyed that the Dodgers went in for that 8-year, $300 million bid. I was kind of hoping we'd stay in the 6-year mark where the offer was originally that New York was going to go after.
They kind of just bid you up on that
and
one.
it's
I
like,
mean,
if 6 years, I'm comfortable. 9 years, I mean, it's hard to tell someone they have to be very good for 9 years. And when that contract only climbs each year, like
Christmas Eve. That's what
yeah,
it
I
is.
mean, these guys are getting paid, at $40 million at 38 years old. He's not ever going to be worth the money,
No, but you say that he's not ever going to be worth the money. So we're talking, just to set it up, is the Garrett Cole contract was 9 years, $324 million for the Yankees.
Yeah, stop crying about athletes making a lot of money. Shut up.
Then
They're supposed to.
Be a pitcher then, if you want to. Like,
Well, they're
if
supposed
you gave me
to.
that much money, I'd do this. Well, then pitch.
Like the team's worth over $5 billion.
That's
What do you
nothing
think
to them.
What do you think the players are going to make?
People are already saying
what?
that the Mike Trout contract for the fucking Angels is fine because their TV contract is already going to pay for it.
Yeah.
So like if the Angels are fine, you guys are fine.
Yes.
And then just getting into the whole thing with you saying if it's worth it or not, like how many World Series has to make it worth it? For me, I mean, I'm just a loser.
when I was talking
All my
about
teams
A-Rod-
are losers, so for me it would be one.
When I was talking about A-Rod, I said 3. And that's when A-Rod had the the 10-year 252. Garrett Cole needs to go out there, and we need to win one this year. I still think 3 is the answer there. I mean, I think this year, I mean, when you look at us,
$100 million per World Series.
I mean, I just think when you look at it, I mean, he's one of the best pitchers for the past 6 years. Like, he's been nothing but consistent. His ERA has never been over 3.20. It's like the guy's consistently out there. He starts a lot of games, too. He's not missing games. He's consistently starting games, 31, 32 starts a year.
The thing I would worry about is the being a power arm thing. It doesn't age as well, obviously. But like we said, you need the next 4 years pretty much, maybe 5 and a couple of World Series, and it's worth it. But there's been a lot of things, and trust me, as a Tigers fan, seeing Justin Verlander and all these other guys go from other places to Houston, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're in touch with like the Patriots, like sideline filming guys or whatever, but something has.
No, they make noise instead.
Not even just that, but something has happened where pitchers go from other places to Houston and become better.
Yes.
So you have to worry if there's a little bit of a drop off, it's fine, but like if he goes from Houston to the Yankees and like any drop off, I mean he's still gonna be the best pitcher in baseball.
I mean, our scouting team, our analytics team has been one of the best in baseball, and as well as pitchers do get better with us as well. Sonny Gray struggled with us because he can't throw the slider. He's more of a curveball guy, and we work more with the slider than the curveball guys as well. I do think, I mean, Hader's still an option for New York to go after another relief pitcher that they're looking into. I really look at this New York team and think, you know, it's kind of built, but we'll see. I mean, I said that last year, but I do think that this New York team, when you look at the starting rotation now, you got between when you start off with Cole, then you got Severino, then you got Paxton, you got Tanaka, then you got your main, or you got Happ, or instead you got Jordan Montgomery. I mean, you got 4 or 5 starting pitchers that you can really go out there every night with.
Well, even if you just look at it from this sense that a regression to the mean, they're not going to be as injured as they were last season. That's going to bring up the offensive numbers, and then getting the best pitcher in baseball is going to bring up the ERA and the pitching and all that kind of stuff. So after it happened, I guess I should have like put some money on it or whatever on my site, but it didn't change immediately. But the next day, now they are the favorite. They're like 2.5 to 1 to win the World Series.
And it's we're at that point now. You know, Boston spent money on their pitching, so it's time for us to do it too. So I think we're gonna hopefully have money better spent.
It'd be interesting to see what the over-unders are whenever they come out for next season to see what everything.
I'm excited to see that one. Actually,
what do you think they would? Do you remember what it was by any chance for the Yankees last year?
I think it was last year. The Yankees was 7-1 coming into the season.
No, like for over-unders for games won.
Oh, it was I think 97. I think.
So they would have went under, right?
No,
or they won 100.
Yeah, we won 100 plus. Like 103, I think they won.
So, yeah, there's a couple of other signings, but I think...
Just going to Kevin Brown it up. Yeah, David not worth the price. Chris Fire sale.
A couple of the NFL races we already covered and everything. We can go back. I know you waited like a whole long time to talk about Garrett Cole. So
very happy about it.
Yeah.
Very happy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't be.
Our baseball take.
Just to go back and do the spreads and everything for the games this week. This is a pretty good game. Are the Rams actually out of it, like mathematically?
I think this game will definitely improve, but for them to make the wild card, they need like X amount of teams to do this and that. Like,
yeah, so they don't control their own destiny.
No,
they're probably going to lose. So they're.
And after the way they lost to Dallas, they should be out of it. That was just bad.
49ers. There's Saturday games this week. I think that's because there's no Thursday night games. So.
And there's not a lot of college games.
What time are those? Am I gonna have to like release my shift?
Oh God, man, I forgot. UCF is Monday with Marshall for the what bowl game is this?
Gasparilla Bowl.
Gasparilla Bowl. God, it's a terrible, terrible event for a terrible bowl game.
It would have been much cooler, I think, for UCF to play another one of those like Florida-based teams, like
Florida State.
Put them
or
against. The reason Florida had to play Virginia, and I know this because I had to look up a whole bunch of different machinations, was because Virginia was still ranked after they lost, and they were like the second in the ACC.
Also, like UCF was like 4th in the AAC. They're not going to go play a New Year's game.
Yeah, but it would have been cool to see them play not even Florida maybe, but like Miami or Florida State or something like that. Like that's something I think.
I was hoping they were going to play a team that I'd want to go watch, but no, I'm not going to spend money on UCF Marshall. I just won't.
And Marshall's one of those teams where like Marshall's good, but they're good for Marshall.
It's like I don't want to That's a game that I know I could go up the street in Spectrum and get like my free ticket and just watch, not spend more money because of a markup because of a bowl game. You know what I mean?
Michigan's playing Alabama in the Citrus Bowl.
That's gonna be a good game, I think.
I wanted to go, but for whatever. Long story short, I'm going to see Minnesota and Auburn in the Outback Bowl.
Okay.
Which actually, because Tiffany's a Minnesota fan, so we're going to watch that. And the last time we went down to South Florida, she actually like bought the Orange Bowl tickets and everything. So I was like, I was hoping that would have been awesome would have been if Minnesota and Auburn played, and the day after I thought Michigan would be in the Outback Bowl, or not the Outback Bowl, the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville. So we were going to go to 1-2, go to both games, but people don't care about that. But that's why I'm not going to the Michigan game. But I was kind of surprised. Like, I thought a lot of the Alabama players wouldn't play. Jerry Jeudy today said that he is going to play.
There's some guys that still want to stick around and play.
That's fine. It's going to happen one of these times where everyone's like, oh, just play for your team, play for your school. And then you're going to happen like Michigan would happen with Jake Butt, and you're going to be a first-round tight end. And then Jerry Jeudy plays in the useless bowl game and then tears his ACL, and then he goes in the third round instead of the first. But that's my whole take on it. Everybody wants to be like a team player. That's fine. But so, yeah, San Francisco 49ers and the Rams. San Francisco's at home -6.
Yes.
San Francisco -6.
Yeah, I'd take them on that one.
Yeah, you would think after that Falcons game,
Yeah.
like they were kind of maybe looking ahead to this game. This is like,
Well, I don't know, because they did just clinch, but I think they're looking for seeding now at this point. So
well, yeah, they can go because of the Seattle record and how Seattle is. I think they went with that loss down to 5th, but if they beat Seattle, they go back up to 2nd. So definitely they're going to have everybody in for that one. This is the game I want to see this week. And we saw it.
6.5. Wow.
We saw it earlier this year, and it's Patriots-Bills. And we thought that the Bills going into, or the Patriots going to the Bills, at that time in the season, everyone was giving the Bills a chance. I think the spread was similar to what it is now. But the Bills' defense is still good. Like
Yeah.
at this point in the season, we know a lot about what teams are.
Do I start Tom Brady this week for fantasy?
No.
Don't. I've started him all year.
See if Tannehill's out there. Pick
He's
up
not,
Tannehill.
Man. Somebody that's not in the playoffs picked him up.
Oh, whoa, no.
Yeah.
That's
because
messed
they didn't
up.
want to finish last.
That actually sounds a lot like. Wait, was it me? It sounds like something I would do.
I would too.
I actually did that in one league because I still wanted to like keep up.
Oh
with,
no, actually, in that, no, I take that. Well, my other league where, because I have Tom in both my leagues, I'm playing the guy with Tannehill in the championship. So that's going to be a. If Ryan Tannehill wins the championship, I'll be pretty upset.
Yes, damn. So these games are at 1, 4, and 8.
Yeah.
Shit.
Houston and Tampa.
Well, no. So the Patriots are -6.5 at home against the Bills, and
It's a division clinching game, which I believe, their record, they were showing that earlier today, is very, very much on their side. But 7 points.
the way it's. Because how many points are the Patriots going to score? 17.
What's that? Ooh.
37.5 is the total. I think that's the game I most want to watch this week.
I do too. Well, outside of Philly and Dallas.
I'll definitely be rooting for the Bills too. Like it's going to be the last time I think the Patriots were not in an AFC Championship game was like 2009.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely I would like to see them have to go on the road in the playoffs. It would be awesome to see the Bills like win the division. That would be crazy. We also have Buccaneers at home against the Texans. Buccaneers +3. That's
Texans
also
should be able to cover
the
that.
same number of picks for Jameis Winston. He's going to throw 5,000 yards this season and 5,000 picks.
Most annoying stat in the world to me now is the 5,000 yards for quarterbacks.
Well, I can understand that, and I kind of did want to get into Drew Brees, where he broke the all-time touchdown record. But a lot of people have been saying, and I think it's probably true, like if you watch like even Troy Aikman, Dan Marino, Joe Montana, if they played with the offenses and the rules the way they are nowadays, everything's kind of a little bit inflated.
Marino would be able to throw for over 6,000 yards right now, and I don't think that's a stretch. When you look at the fact that receivers can not have their hands on, it's just the fact that receivers can do whatever they want now. It's completely free for them. You can't put your hands on a receiver sometimes within 4 yards of a guy because you'll get called.
It almost feels like if the refs aren't sure, they're just like, pass interference.
Yes, that's the thing, yeah.
Which if that's what you're going to do, you need to be overturning more of these calls.
Yes.
If you're going to call it, if you're not even, it should be egregious for both ways. It shouldn't be like,
Everyone wants more offense, and more defense doesn't help ratings.
Ratings are so stupid. Like the contracts are already what they are.
I know. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying
you have a core base of
on
people
it.
who are going to watch no matter what. People who bet, people who like football, and then you're going to have what, like the average fan on the street who you're like, who's the quarterback for the Bills, and they don't know. Like,
yeah.
What difference is that for ratings? The ratings, and I don't know how this works, but the contracts are already paid for. The TV money already is what it is. So, like, NBA ratings this year, people are like, NBA ratings are down. It's like, okay, do you not like basketball anymore? Do you not like basketball anymore? No. Everyone I know still likes basketball. So what? We're just watching it online instead of paying for cable.
More streaming services are everywhere.
Broncos at home -7 against the Lions. Is that where we are right now?
All right. Drew Lock.
I guess it was probably like 3.5, and then once they extended Patricia or didn't fire him, it went up to 7.
Oakland, LA. Oh, that's another bad. Oh, how about Oakland getting trash thrown on the field and like
It's
fans
Raiders
trying to
fans.
storm
What do
the
you
field?
expect?
Like God,
It's called the
man.
black hole.
Thank
It's
God.
it's not called like the
Thank God they're
Central
going to
Park.
Vegas.
That's where they belong, right?
Yeah, honestly. Well, it's just like, who the hell wants to be in Oakland in the first place?
I mean, if any team should move, it should have been the Chargers, because those fans actually deserve to have a team there. And whereas Chargers fans have like 15
In
fans.
San Diego?
No, LA.
Oh,
Chargers.
okay, yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it clearly hasn't worked.
I thought
There.
you were saying San Diego should have lost a team. I was like, oh, people in Qualcomm was an ugly stadium, too.
Yeah. But who are the Chargers?
Next to Camping World, it's the worst stadium I've ever been to. I'm being honest, dude. I hate Camping World. I don't want to watch a bowl game at Camping World.
But who are the Chargers to be favored by 6.5 against anybody, though?
I don't know, man. I hate watching them, to be honest with you. They just piss me off. It's like everything you're not supposed to do in football, watch the Chargers.
You can't be favored by 6.5, and then you know Phillip Rivers is going to be down four points with like 2 minutes left.
I'll probably try to throw a jump ball to Austin Eckler again.
Yeah, that was awesome. Falcons, who I guess are good again, -7 at home against the Jaguars.
I'm picking them. Let's go.
-7?
Covering 7 because Julio's got another 2
If
touchdowns.
Minshew's starting, I'm going with the Jags.
Oh, okay. He is starting.
There you go. This will be actually a really good game,
I
too.
think so, too.
But that's a reason why I don't know if that guy's going to start Tannehill against you, but against the Saints defense, I don't know. That's kind of risky.
Well, this guy's got McCaffrey, and that's what he's been. McCaffrey in New England's defense.
So it almost doesn't matter what he does.
That's what's been carrying him.
Yeah, that's like 50
truly
points
carrying
right
him.
there.
Yes.
Yeah, so Titans are +2.5 at home against the Saints. I think the Titans are good, but I think they're getting kind of almost overhyped at that point. It's like when you hear a certain number of people say, you know who's good? I think it's the Titans. And like, yeah, everybody's saying that.
I think the Titans look better, but I don't think they're
But you don't-
good.
you know
I don't
who's-
look at them to be a threat. You don't look at them being a New England, a Baltimore, or a Kansas
Titans,
City.
yeah,
They'll be one of the other 3 seeds. You know what I mean? Like,
They'll be the 1 o'clock game on Saturday.
Yeah,
I can tell you that right now.
yeah, I just don't see yeah, they'll play the Texans or something.
We'll see if they can run it against the Saints, because that's how they're going to have to win. Because A.J. Brown's going to be in
they could beat the Bills.
Right, but that's who they are. They are the Bills.
Yeah. They just run better.
Wow, I'm not going to watch a second of this game. Redskins at home -2.5 against the Giants.
God.
Is
bless.
Eli starting?
I don't know.
Is that one game
If
to rule
Eli's
them all
starting,
again?
if
'Cause he's
Eli
back to
started, I may
500?
play Eli for my championship.
I don't know if I told you about the idea, but it's Eli Manning's career record is 500. So if he wins this game, he's in the Hall of Fame. If he loses, he's out of the Hall
Oh
of Fame.
man.
It's the Redskins, so I mean he's got a good. He's not favored for some reason, but
I thought they said the Jets were favored. I was like, whoa.
yeah, Jets +3 at home against the Steelers, who somehow are winning, or they lost last week. But
that game.
Yeah, you have to give respect to Mike Tomlin against Adam Gase.
stop Le'Veon Bell.
Another low over/under.
Completely stop Le'Veon Bell.
The total's 38.
Oh God, this game.
Wow.
We probably get field level tickets for $35.
The first thing I saw was the Dolphins, and I saw Pick'em, and I was like, that can't be right. And I was like, oh, the Bengals. The Bengals are worse than the Dolphins.
Yes.
The Dolphins should
and
be.
the Dolphins shed all their talent.
The Dolphins should be favored in this game. Like they actually.
Are they?
No, it's a pick'em.
Oh,
It's
wow.
just even.
All right, go Dolphins.
But the Dolphins, I mean, let's be honest. Like everyone thought they were going to be one of the worst teams of all time. They re-signed Devontae Parker, who is going to be everybody's fantasy sleeper next year.
And I don't like him because he's always hurt.
But if they have any kind of a decent quarterback,
yeah, I guess.
and we had this stat earlier this year that I think Stretch texted us that I also already saw, but it was Ryan Fitzpatrick has more rushing touchdowns than Bo Jackson. These are the 3 quarterbacks in the NFL that lead their team in rushing.
Oh, this is great.
It's Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, and Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. Yep.
He leads the Dolphins, and he's 37. And it'd be like Tom Brady almost, like leading the Patriots in rushing.
Well, the first 3 weeks, Tom Brady had 4 rushing touchdowns. I was like, what the hell's going on here, man?
We have Colts at home against the Panthers. 2 teams pretty much out of the playoffs. I mean, maybe earlier in the season would have been a decent game.
Let's see the Colts handle this one.
It's -6.5. We're getting to the point in the season where it's like.
I don't know if I put that bet on because 6.5 seems like that, but the Colts did just get embarrassed, and they're in Indy, so maybe that helps them out.
Yeah, it's getting to that point.
And Will Greer starting that game, so yeah, let's
For
see.
who? The
Will Greer
Panthers?
starting for the Panthers, yeah.
I liked Will Greer in college. I don't know if I'm liking him in the NFL.
He likes nasal
but
spray a little too much.
He's going to throw the shit out of it.
Oh
I know
man,
that.
Cleveland's gonna be telling Baltimore to come get them.
Yes. Oh yeah. If they want to
get me.
If they want to go to Arizona, it's
man.
It's the Browns at home +10 against the Ravens.
I think the Ravens will cover that. Even though the Browns did beat them earlier this year. The Browns did beat the Ravens, but I think
feels like a different season.
And that's why I
at
think
this
the
point.
Ravens are gonna come out there and beat the hell out of the Browns because they did lose to the Browns. I think it's kind of a personal thing.
It feels like, and they also had Myles Garrett at that point, and so losing your best pass rusher against Lamar Jackson is not going to be great. This is probably your game of the week. The Eagles at home +2.5, back to 2.5, I guess. I saw 3 earlier. Eagles at home +2.5 against the Cowboys.
We could lose this freaking game, dude.
I don't know, man.
So annoyed. I mean, I'm almost annoyed because I don't want to watch this
Would you be that surprised if you lost though? I know
yeah, because they have nobody on their team right now. Like, how are we gonna?
It's only 2.5.
I understand it's only 2.5. I think it has to do with this in Philly, but like, I honestly can see this way. We won the last game by like 30.
By the law of Vegas, where it gives 3 points to the home team, if it was at home, you'd be favored by 5.5, which still is not even a touchdown.
I just look at Dallas being against Philly. This is a team. If we can't beat Philly, then we really don't need to be in the playoffs, and I don't want to watch us in the playoffs.
It's kind of at the point for both of those teams where it's like whoever loses really doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's just at that point, yeah.
We'll see. I mean, I want the Cowboys to go to the playoffs just because I think if some weird thing where it's like the playoffs are a new season, they can start turning it on.
Yes.
Where you just have to win a couple of games. But
yeah, you just have to get some momentum coming in, and I see what you're saying there.
It'd be a weird season. I mean, almost the worst case scenario is for you guys to make the playoffs, win 1 or 2 playoff games, and then keep Jason Garrett next year.
I'll see it happening, man. I think Garrett literally has to make a Super Bowl.
If they made it to the NFC Championship game and lost,
how do we lose?
By.
Like, do we lose like Minnesota and Philly?
No.
Lost because
by like 14.
No, I think, and if we look that out, coach, no, I think he's done.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it would be tough to fire him if he makes it to the NFC Championship game. Seahawks at home -9.5 against the Cardinals.
Yes.
So this will be an interesting game. I think the Seahawks will win, but if the Seahawks do win, then it even puts more pressure on the 49ers.
Do I start Hollister or Henry?
Jacob Hollister or
Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry, I think.
I don't know, dude.
Has Hollister been good? He's one of those guys where.
But Henry hasn't either. But it's just they're playing Arizona and they're the worst against tight ends.
I don't know. Maybe pick up like Vance McDonald or something like.
Oh God, Jesus.
You're asking for fantasy advice from someone who went 0 for 5. So I'll have Tiffany text you about it. see who she wants to pick.
Kansas City, Chicago. Kansas City, what are they?
Kansas City's -5 on the road against Chicago. Yeah, Kansas City's gonna win.
They cover that.
And I think they cover as well. Not too much.
This is gonna be a good game.
Yeah,
Monday night, Green Bay, Minnesota.
So Green Bay and Minnesota right now. Green Bay's 11-3. Minnesota's 10-4. Green Bay plays Minnesota and Detroit. Minnesota plays Green Bay and Chicago. So there's a good chance that whoever wins this is gonna win the division.
So do I start Thielen or do I start Bell? I'm going Thielen. I don't think Bell's gonna do that great against the Steelers.
Have you seen those things where people like post stupid shit in the comment section?
Yes.
Like somebody will be like,
oh my God, yes.
Somebody will be like
grow up and figure it out.
No, somebody will be like, Dalvin Cook just got hurt, and like, what does this mean for Adam Thielen? It's like, it has nothing to do with Adam Thielen.
No.
But who did you say, Thielen or who?
Le'Veon Bell. I'm gonna go Thielen.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell. I haven't had him on any teams, but I know he hasn't been good this season.
They're playing the Steelers, and I just don't think the Steelers are gonna. I think the Steelers take it. I think, like most teams should, the Steelers take it personal when they play the Jets.
I want the Packers to win this game. I want the Packers to win the division. I think it's kind of crazy that it's a 5-point spread.
I do too, actually.
That's pretty much it for that. Did you have anything else on NBA or anything? I think for most people, the NBA season begins like right when the Christmas Day games happen.
NBA starts for me in typically around February. I don't care what you guys do the first 45 games.
February, that's almost like into the playoffs.
Because yes, it's like I don't care they do the first 40 games. Like,
you don't care about Luka or the winning streak for the Bucks?
It's fun. I get that, but it's like, okay, like.
You don't want to have the debate.
It's like baseball. Do I care about baseball in July?
No.
Up until like
basketball
August.
Is better than baseball, though.
It is, but is it? Like we know the teams are going to be there.
The games matter twice as much, literally.
We know that what teams are going to be there immediately.
It's much more fun to watch, in my opinion, than baseball.
It depends on the team you're watching, I would say. But yeah, as a sport, definitely. But
I'm not watching the Tigers or the Pistons. I'll tell you that.
I'm not going to watch the Pistons play no, because I'd watch the Hawks. I'm not going to watch the Pistons and Pelicans play. Which, by the way,
what if Zion came back?
Zion ain't playing this year.
At all?
No.
That's the first time I've heard that.
That's because no one's smart enough to say it yet.
You think he's not going to play at all this season?
They're 6-20. What's he have to come back and play for? He's hurt. He's fat. He's not in shape. Like,
but he's not going to get skinnier by not playing.
Yes, they're going to get him on a regimen. Yes.
If he's not playing, what do you think he's going to do? Not eating?
They're not going to stress this guy's injury already out. This guy has to actually be healthy. He has to get on diet. He has to get in shape to play basketball. He's not in shape. They're going to go stress that. Just like I said, when AJ Green won't play this year, Zion's not playing this year.
Yeah, but AJ Green is going to be going for a new contract in the offseason. Zion is just a rookie, though. Like, why would he not play?
It's not that he would have played. The team's not going to come out there and play him if they're like.
But what if he's 100% healthy?
Okay, but just like Blake, if they are like.
He's on load management already. He's never played a game yet.
If they are like 10 and like 30, in the first 40 games, do you really think he's going to play?
Whatever he does this season, he can get better and carry it into next season.
It doesn't work that way in sports.
Yes, it doesn't. The second season, the first to second and second to third season is like
Marty,
the biggest.
You're not listening. If guys are sitting out because of an injury, they're not going to come back when their team is completely out of it and have nothing to play for and risk an injury.
He's not going to push himself to come back if he's hurt.
No, the team won't even.
But if he's 100% healthy, they're just going to sit him there?
Listen, we're 26 games in, and the guy's shooting shots finally with nobody around him.
Right, but they already said when it came it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks. It's right at like the 5 or 6 week mark. It's not like it's been 8 weeks.
But he hasn't even started activity yet. Like, he's just shooting in shorts right now with nobody near him. Like, he's not even near activity. This guy's not near any type of like physical activity and conditioning activity. Like, I'm just saying that it's
you
paying itself out.
You want to put $10 that he doesn't play a single game this season?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I'll put $10 on it. Like, yeah. But we still got to find our Ohio State Michigan one. I know that's one in there. We're gonna look back and find that one. It's on the Big Ten podcast.
If you think you want it, you got to go back and find it.
Oh, we're fine. I'll get my team.
I'll make you. What was it? How much was it?
I'm gonna get the Patriots, my Patriots photographers out there. See if they can find if they
I was
lost
just
the
saying
data.
that for field perspective.
See, I don't know if they're gonna if they can delete it or not and still have it.
I'm pretty sure I picked Ohio State. I don't know. Just call me crazy.
I would love it.
I'm pretty sure I picked Joe Burrow to be the Heisman too.
Joe Burrow, man. I don't even know who I picked.
Did we pick Heisman's?
Yeah, I think I picked Jalen Hurts. Actually,
that's not crazy though. I got to go back and listen to all that.
I picked Jalen Hurts. My MVP was Deshaun Watson.
A lot of times it happens where you just like pick stuff before the season and then it just sits there in the ether and you're like, the only point of doing it is to go back and see how right or wrong we were.
Yeah, to see if you were at least close. You know, like
did one of us pick like Indiana to win the Big Ten or something like that? Somebody went out on a ledge. Somebody picked.
Ledge.
I think I picked UCF to be in the Gasparilla Bowl against Marshall.
Got Rutgers making the playoffs. They still pissed me off.
I had Rutgers winning a game.
Well, I had them not be able to cover 39 against Penn State, but that happened.
Somehow we both did. Somehow, of all the bets out there, we both did.
Because Penn State just got whooped by Ohio State, so you think, hey, they should be ready to play. It's Rutgers. They've won two games.
That's not the reason that we both had that bet.
Rutgers gives up like 45 points a game.
You know the reason we both had that bet, right? It's because we're not in Bundesliga. Thank you guys for watching. Next week we're gonna do the recap.
What's the other podcast doing next week?
What's up?
What's the other podcast doing next week?
I'm still waiting for it. I don't know.
Where they at though?
Shit, my computer turned off.
We're just gonna keep calling about. And so they actually.
So I was sharing the podcast.